Hello and welcome to an episode that defines the difference between advertising and public relations. I am Swati Singh, a media professional for the last 18 years. I am specializing in advertising and public relations. So, let's begin today by defining the objectives of this particular module. The objectives are to understand the basic functioning of both advertising and public relations as separate professions, to find out the similarity between the two professions, to mark out the area of differences between advertising and public relations, to understand the effect on the distinction between advertising and public relations, to understand the role of new media and its implications with respect to differentiation between advertising and public relation. Let's start with the introduction. Before starting with the differentiation between advertising and PR, first let's understand each individually. Advertising and public relations are the two important tools for promoting products and services offered by the company. Advertising alludes to form of communication which a firm uses to instigate prospective customer to choose the product offered by the company over other products. On the other hand, public relation is about building and maintaining good relations with its companies, stakeholders by use of gaining favorable publicity, having a good reputation and so on. The primary motive of any business is profit maximization, and it can only be achieved by increasing sales. The firm apply many strategies, tactics, tools, plans to gain maximum customer attention and grab a competitive position in the market. That comes under promotion mix. There are four aspects of promotion, that is advertising, direct selling, sales promotion and public relations. Due to some similar traits, people have confused sometimes in understanding the difference between advertising and public relation. But as per an old saying, advertising pays and public relation persuades. Therefore, we first start with defining each discipline differently, its features and characteristics. Let's start by defining advertising. So, advertising is described as a paid, non-personal, one-way public communication that draws public communication towards a product, a service, a brand or any other thing through various communication channels to inform, influence and instigate the target audience to respond in the manner as desired by the advertiser. Advertising can be done through print, radio, TV, billboard, flyer, commercials, internet, banner ads, direct mails and so on and so forth. The advertiser has exclusive control over what, how and when the advertising will be aired or published. Moreover, the ad will run as long as the advertiser has a budget that allows it. As advertising is a prominent marketing tool, it is always present no matter the people are aware of it or not, everywhere. Nowadays, advertising has not left a single medium to spread the message to its target audiences. Now, let's start with defining public relations. Public relation is a strategic communication tool that uses different channels to cultivate favorable relation for the company, its practice of building a positive image or reputation of the company in the eyes of the public by telling or displaying the company's product or services in form of featured stories or articles through print or broadcast media. It aims at building a trust-based relationship between the brand and its customers, mainly through media exposure and coverage. Public relations can be called as non-paid publicity earned by the company through its goodwill, word of mouth, etc. The tactics used in public relation are publicity, social media, press releases, press conferences, interviews, crisis management, featured stories, speeches, news releases, etc. To begin with, let's first understand the common grounds on which public relation and advertising stand, similar to each other, starting with the target audiences. So, reaching a target audience is a main goal of advertising. Media buyer purchase TV, day, parts, radio, airtime, and print ads in publications that their target demo reads, watches, and listens to. Now, PR professionals also pitch to various target audiences through newspaper stories, articles, etc. Whether the target is to reach the millennial or influential blogger, public relation works consistently to get the right kind of publicity and visibility. Public relation professionals, influential bloggers are used to review a new product. It's all about honing in and getting out the message in the right media outlet, so we can be sure we are talking to the right audiences. Next is creativity. Creativity goes hand in hand with advertising. This is a given. Brainstorming and creating off the wall ideas and unique campaigns is what advertising is all about. Whether it is about designing of a print advertisement, making of corporate film, television commercial, or radio script, on needs to be very innovative and different. The role of creativity in advertising is about creating positive image of a product or services, make them look distinct than their counterparts, and at the same time impress the target audience. Same way when it comes to public relation. So, in order to be continuously coming up with newsworthy storylines, one has to think of creative, unique events which can grab media attention. So, public relation officer need to be very creative in many ways. Also, in order to secure coverage for clients, public relation department keeps on churning out interesting stories and ways and means to reach out. Overarching goal is the third one. Lastly, the most important thing that is common between public relation and advertising is that we are all working towards the same overarching goal, success for their client. Each department does their part to contribute, since the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Various media organizations feel pride with respect to the integration between their various departments and teamwork that achieve meaningful results for their clients, helping them achieve their goals. Thereby, we understand that both advertising and public relation help build the brands, communicate with the right target audience, and both are important promotional activity for publicity of a brand or individual, yet there are certain apparent differences between the two. So, let us begin with the basic differences between the two. And the first difference is that advertising space is paid while public relation results are earned through providing the media with information in form of press release and pitches. For example, you have to buy online banner and space, but you can pitch a story to a news outlet. There is also something called owned medium, which is the content you create for your website or photos and videos you produce for social media. Now, let us get down to the various characteristics and explore some of the other factors that make these two marketing avenues very different from each other. So, we start with the aim. So, while companies and organizations are creating advertisements that primarily target potential consumers, and that is the aim, PR professionals are hoping to cast a wider net. Also, advertising identifies different publics and demographics for different brands. The areas are very variant, whereas public relation target publics which are both internal and external to their organization. They can include employers, investors, customers, the media, legislature, and many more. These publics are very clearly identified in public relations and are treated as spokesperson for the brand. A relationship needs to be forged between these publics and the organization in order to create a positive word image of any organization. And it's highly dependent on the opinion and feedback of these publics, which is not the case in advertising. Advertising is purely as commercial use. Demographic data is used to identify the right buyers. Nothing more than this is sought. Nowadays, there is also a new category called the influencers, which refer to the people who have a lot of connections personally like celebrities or politicians, or who have a large following on the social media. Now, these are constitute really important publics for the public relation. A recommendation by these influencers can create favorable image as well as favorable market for the brand. Therefore, such people are followed and are given special attention by the public relation professionals. Now coming to the goals and objectives. So the goals of public relation is much different than that of advertising. Public relation is a basic function which is offering relationship building, brand awareness and reputation. The goals and objective behind a successful PR campaign revolve around the fact that consumer place more trust in and are more likely to do business with a company they know and admire. Whereas advertising is about hard selling. Advertising aim at ensuring a product is praised, sold and liked by the marketeers. Advertisement seek to use a lot of adjectives and indulge in self-praise in order to showcase the features of their product. Advertisements are generated for a specific target market in order to generate sales. They hardly thrive on building any trust or long-term reputation with their audiences. The primary objective of advertisement is to improve sales and not to create any bond or goodwill or to ensure high esteem in the mind of their consumer for the product. They usually focus more on promoting a product or service than on building any reputation. Then another factor is control. Advertising is largely a controlled activity. Since when a client buys an advertisement, it is the one he who decides how the advertisement will look, what it will say, where it will be placed, when it will be run, etc. And how much exposure his advertisement receives is largely dependent on how much money he is willing to spend on that ad. Therefore, the medium of promotion are both monitored and controlled. But when it comes to public relations and specifically working with the media, you have no or less control in public relations. The media is the one who decides how your information is presented in the news and if it will even be covered at all. Therefore, it is all the more challenging to be a public relation professional, and one has to be very well versed with the antiques of the influencing media. Also, a PRO needs to be knowledgeable and well informed in order to avert bad publicity. The next important thing that defines them is strategy. With advertising, there is a shorter term goal in mind and therefore their strategy is very different, which is geared towards specific buying seasons. Think holiday shopping, pushing a new product or promoting a special deal to boost sales. Advertising is about luring people into buying products in short term. In other words, advertising focuses on small term gains, whereas public relation professionals are always looking at the big picture, delivering meaningful information about their brands to build a sustainable and dedicated base of that brand fans. That includes consumers and other stakeholders. Public relation is more involved in getting the right kind of attention and building a great rapport with their target audience, since their vision is long term. The next differentiator is the credibility. It's a fact that in fact everybody knows that advertising is hard selling, and when one sells his product, he won't talk negatively about its product or the shortcomings, rather would only speak the positive about it. Thus, it is a paid medium which thrives on exaggerated claims, and therefore consumer tend not to believe or believe less in everything that an advertisement tells them, since they are aware that whoever is paying for an ad is definitely dictating exactly what needs to be communicated. That is praising the product for a quick sell. And since people are aware that advertising is a paid medium, the credibility of the same really goes down. On the other hand, public relation users use media tools like articles and features and press to promote a client, which are part of authentic communication and a third party communication. Through public relation, messages are communicated by a trusted third party, the media, and therefore far more credible than any other communication. Effect of social media on the distinction between advertising and public relations. So basically, we understand that the differences between the two are pretty simple and easy to understand. But the ever growing popularity of social media and both of them, which have a part to play in it, has started to blur the line between both of them. Why is it? Yes, it is so because social media can be used in numerous ways for both. In fact, it's most of the time crosses path with each other and take former into latter territory or vice versa. For example, by the use of blogs, which are essentially a public relation tool, and now are also being used by advertising to promote various brands by directly or indirectly mentioning the brand names in it within the article and also sometimes discussing the features of the product in the blog. Let's focus on Facebook. A Facebook, which is a very big platform today. Account is something that is business created and controlled by oneself. Now, unless you hire someone to manage your page, it is essentially cost free. You can, however, use Facebook for both public relations and paid advertising efforts. If you pay to boost your post, that is considered advertising. Boosted posts appear higher in the newsfeed, so they have a better chance your audience will sell them, and you can also expose audiences beyond just your fans to the content. On the other hand, you may post a great photo of your new company mascot, a cute puppy, generate tons of likes, comments, and share, and at no cost to you. The best way to promote a business is to incorporate both public relations and advertising into your marketing strategy in a very integrated and coordinated way. Leveraging both mediums enables you to boost the frequency with which target audiences hear your key brand message and the way in which they are heard. People must be exposed to marketing messages multiple times before they will remember it. Let us summarize the points once again. Advertising and public relations are essentially different functions, even though both aim to create better image and help in promotion of the various organizations and brands. Advertising is a primarily hard selling function as marketing tool and is used to sell products the intended customers, whereas public relations is a strategic communication tool used to create a positive image of the organization and at the same time build trust and mutual understanding between an organization and its public. The common goal of advertising and PR are to attract and communicate with target audiences with respect to their client and organization, also to work creatively and use innovative methods to impress their audiences and communicate through interesting means to deliver the message effectively, and thirdly, to promote the organization or client's business by various media promotions. Now understand the differences between the two. First, the influencers or customers need to be differentiated for both. In advertising, it is to sell the product, whereas in PR, it is to create a positive image. The goal and objective of both are different. For advertising, it is sales. For PR, it is about building trust. Operations and procedures are very different in advertising. The focus is on using multimedia for selling for short-term goals, whereas PR is more about personal networking. The tools and strategy is very different for both. In advertising, the strategy is to influence the customer by exaggerating claims, whereas in public relations, the strategy is to be accountable in order to win the trust of the client. With the advent of social media, a revolution in communication is experienced by both the fields. Yet, a demarcation between the two have blurred. Social media is used to interact with public relations, whereas it is used to tap existing and potential clients for selling. Both media is used by common tools like blog, contest, post, etc. to communicate. Therefore, the overlap. That is all we have for you today. We hope you really enjoyed this episode. See you again. Till then, thank you and namaskar.